Welcome to the Furry 360 video by Bunchy Skunk, featuring furries and other costume characters and other random events. Enjoy!
Hello, 360 people.
But nevertheless, of course, he is always known for one thing that he does best, and that's making the crowd roar with laughter and shake with excitement. So it is my pleasure to introduce the illustrious, the eccentric, the, if I dare say so myself, the legendary, the also encompassing Uncle Kage.
I think I'll stay standing if that's okay. Not your wicker chair. No, and be careful. Good. And Tim Hortons. Canadian. I get this too? Yep. I can use both of them? I'm in stereo. Hey. Look, I'll tell you what, we'll keep this one for later. That's the emergency backup. Hi. I'm Uncle Kage, I don't know why. They basically put me up on stage and they call me a storyteller. Basically, what I do is I just talk and I keep doing it. And for some reason, people invite me back to do it all the time. I don't know. You guys are easily amused. I head up an organization that is headquartered in Pittsburgh, runs a convention very similar to this called Anthrocon. And, no, right over there. You'll get there, you met your cue the first time. I've been in furry fandom since 1989, and right now there's some little dickhead out there saying, who isn't even alive then? I was just born. Shut up! There's a few truisms in the fandom. I don't know where these came about, but, well, I'm sorry, I don't know where they came about, but, well, it's your language, I'm just trying to speak it, okay? I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry. Very sorry. They often say, for reasons, no, you don't mess with Uncle Kage. And there's a corollary to that. You don't mess with furry fandom when Uncle Kage is around. How would you like to hear about a guy who tried to do both? Now, if any of you have cameras, which every single one of you seems to, you're perfectly free to film this to your heart's content. But please do not, at least not yet, do not upload it to YouTube. Do not make it public. And the reason for that, well, might become apparent a little bit later. See, there are reasons. Anthrocon has been running a long time and has gotten somewhat big. We're going to be probably pushing about 8,000 people this year. Yeah, you would say that. My mother was right. Well, as the organization started to grow, the way we used to do things, we couldn't. It just doesn't scale. Our artist alley and our con store, pardon me, we actually needed to go into a computerized point-of-sale system, POS system, as my artist alley manager, Shadow Wolf, who is the only person in fandom named Shadow Wolf, by the way. Shadow Wolf said, we need to buy a POS. I said, I drive one, I'll give it to you. He said, no, we need to buy a point-of-sale system. And I said, how much is it going to cost me? He said, oh, about $7,500. I said, there was some discussion. One thing at Anthrocon that is a truism, and this has been true ever since, we are fiscally successful because I refuse to spend money on anything. The city of Pittsburgh is accustomed to my answer. Anytime somebody says, hey, Dr. Conway, have you ever considered, the first words out of my mouth are, what's it going to cost me? And they've gotten good at it. They say, have you ever considered this, which will cost you $850? Congratulations on finding your kidney transplant donor. It has to be that important. So I said to Shadow, okay, yeah, 7,500. Do we need this thing? He said, oh yes, we do. By the way, if you're ever going to run an organization, when your tech guy says, oh yes, we need this, get a second opinion, okay? So he put me in touch with this outfit in Utah that sold this point-of-sale system. And basically it's a bunch of high-end, fancy-ass computers with keyboards and wires and screens. And essentially they're like really, really, really over-functional calculators. That's all they are. So I called the guy up. And I said, okay, we're going to order this thing from you. I'm ready to give you a credit card number. He said, would you be able to send a check? And I said, why? He said, well, we of course need payment in hand to begin the order. And the sooner we get the payment, the sooner we can start. You know, with a credit card, we got that extra 2.9% interest plus all that. He said, it would be a lot better if we can just have a check and avoid that. Okay, that sounded fair to me. So I wrote a check for about $7,500, which is about $4 billion Venezuelan. Later. After the show. And sent the check off. That was 31st of March, 2016. Boy, why do I know that date so well? And when I talked to the guy on the phone, I called him the next day, he said, yeah, we got the check. We're going to start work on this, and it's going to be great. It's going to be the greatest point-of-sale system you've ever seen. People are going to love it. So I said, when will I have it? He said, well, we've already started work on it. You'll have it by the end of the month. Beautiful, beautiful. I got no problem with that. So I went about my business being chairman and all that stuff. And April gave way to May. As we're getting kind of late in May, I hadn't heard anything from Shadow Wolf. So I sent him a note and said, say, did that point-of-sale system arrive? And he said, did you order it? Uh-oh. Yeah. You know that feeling you get sometimes right in here, like you accidentally swallowed a cat? Kind of started feeling that. So I said, listen, call this guy up in Utah and tell him we want an update. I didn't hear from him. And about 4 or 5 days later, I sent another note to Shadow Wolf saying, well? And he said, well, I haven't been able to get in touch with him. There was the cat again. I said, okay, listen to me. You need to contact this guy either by email or by phone. What you need to tell him is that the CEO of your organization is a psychotic asshole with anger issues, and you're really afraid of him. Which is true. Well, Shadow Wolf was able to get through to the guy, and the guy said, by the way, the guy's name is Doug. I won't give you his last name. I'll just call him O. Doug O. problem. It's just about done. We'll have it off to you in a couple of days. Well, a couple of days became the end of May. And Shadow Wolf sent me a bunch of back and forth emails and messages where he said, look, our convention's coming up in a month. We need this thing like now so we can program it and get used to it and everything. Gave the boy a drop dead date of June 10th. And I said, did you tell him what I told you to? And Shadow Wolf said, yes. I said, did you embellish it? He said, I didn't have to. I said, good boy. So, we were getting close to June 10th. Shadow Wolf called Duggo to get an update. And he got an answering machine message that said, our offices are closed to observe a local holiday. We will reopen tomorrow. Well, we looked it up. We didn't see any local holidays in Utah, but it's Utah. You know, I don't know, underwear day, something, who knows? So Shadow waited a day, and he got the same message. Our offices are closed to observe a local holiday. We'll be open tomorrow. He was starting to feel the cat, too. June 10th came, and at the end of the day, I sent an email to Shadow saying, is there a very, very large crate on your doorstep containing my POS system? And he wrote back, no. I said, now it's time to play. See, I very rarely get to vent my anger. Normally I have to keep it bottled up. Thank God for people like Duggo. Because he's probably saved the world. I sent a note. Dear Doug, call me. And the phone number. Well, I got an email right back. Yes, I know, we're down to the wire, but we pretty much have got it, we're just putting in the package to send it off. And my response was, that's nice. Call me. And the phone. And he wrote back, I can't call you, I'm not in my office. That struck me. I never realized that in the entire state of Utah, there's only a single telephone, and it's in Duggo's office. I mean, I know the place was kind of, way out there, but wow. So, I wrote back, when do I get the system? And he said, we're in the process of packaging it. It's going to be out this afternoon, and you're off to you. And I said, great. When you send it out, I want a tracking number. And I called the next day, and I got him. And I said, yo, Doug. I said, yo, because I'm from Philly. I said, yo, Doug, has that been sent out? He said, yep, it's sent out. It's on its way. Good, said I. I said, do you have a tracking number? He said, yep, I do. Okay. Would you kindly send me the tracking number? He said, absolutely. Okay. When will you send me the tracking number? He said, oh, I'll send it to you by the end of the day. I should have asked which day, shouldn't I? End of the day came. I didn't have a tracking number. The next day I gave him till afternoon. And I sent an email. Dear Doug, do you have my tracking number? His response was very strange. He wrote back, you know, I don't like the attitude you're giving me. I'm not going to deal with you anymore. I'm only going to deal with Shadow from now on. You know, I was kind of hoping he said that. So I wrote back, is that so? Cancel the order. And he wrote back, we can't cancel it, it's already in transit. I said, fine. Shadow, when it arrives, you are to refuse delivery. and send it back and get me another point of sale system. And Duggo sent back a very, very long email that had sentences that started with, who do you think, and you can't, and I just, whatever, I didn't read it. To this day I haven't read it, I don't care. I got better things to do with my time. So I sent Duggo a final email that said, okay, here's what's going to happen. You got 10 days to send me my money back, and I shall expect to have it in that 10 days by. Time passed, then it was Anthrocon, and I was busy. When I got back from Anthrocon, it was now more than 2 weeks later, and I looked at the mailbox, and there was no check from Duggo. So I called Duggo, and I got a message. Our offices are closed to observe a local holiday. We'll be open tomorrow. And I said, it's time to take this to the next level. You see, every once in a while, there's an advantage to being an American. I got in touch with the court. And I said, what exactly do I have to do to sue this guy? It's amazing. Fill out this form and send it back to us with a check for $100. Dude! Right? They sent me the form. It was not a long form, it was like 3 pages with really wide spaces. Your name, the guy's name, plaintiff, defendant. You hear the people's court, please state your case. Guy took my money. Guy didn't send me nothing. I want my money. Couldn't put it much more plainly. How much are you suing him for? The entire $7,500 plus the cost I had to file this case, the $100 and little ancillary charges. I sent it off. And a week later, I got the form back, and it's all filled out and stamped, and it says, okay, you now have a court date. October 5th. Ooh. Apparently there's a lot of people filling out this form for $100. October 5th. Well, okay. October, yeah, we can do that. And there was some instruction there that said, you must serve these papers on the defendant. How do you do that? You call a process server. I don't know if it's the same in this lovely nation, but in my country you call a process server and say, I got these papers, I want to swipe on this guy. And if you say it like that, you get better service. So I called up the process server, and I say, yeah, I got a court date with this guy, I need you to serve papers on him. He owes me money. He's deadbeat. And the process server said, yes, sir, that's what we're in business for. So what is your name? I gave him my name. He said, what is the defendant's name? I said, the defendant is Mr. O. And the process server, who was in the same town as Mr. O, said, Doug O? I said, well, as a matter of fact, yes. Do you know him? And there was a pause, and we've heard of him. I said, do you need his address? No, we have it. It's okay. So about a week later, I get the papers back. We have served these papers. Basically, it's just like in the movies. The guy walks up and says, are you Doug O? You have just been served. You are ordered to appear in court on the 5th of October to face Conway. Okay. So, I had to take a day off work. That pissed me off. I need my vacation days for lovely things like this. So I took a day off work, and I had to fly out on the night of the 4th and get a hotel room in the lovely town of Provo, Utah, and then rent a car and drive to the little town where the court was to be held. Now, I can't go into court wearing a lab coat. This is not court attire. The whole idea is you want to look both presentable and intimidating. So, I got my best suit, Now we need to intimidate. This ought to do it. So, I flew out, Salt Lake City, Utah. I rented a car, drove to Provo, stayed the night, and the very, very next morning, went into court. Very, very strange the way they handle things. This is what they call small claims court, matters of less than $10,000 US. Apparently it's $100 because you get a bulk discount, because there was a waiting area that sort of looked like this room. All the cases are going to be heard that morning, and there's all these people sitting around in chairs in the same waiting room, and the court doors are up there, they're not open yet. Now, the thing is, I don't know what Dogo looks like. And I'm looking around at everybody, so I kind of found myself a chair. I sat down and just kind of stared at my knees. And after a while, I glanced around and I noticed there was no sound. Everybody was sitting there staring at their knees, not knowing if they were sitting next to the person they were suing, or being sued by. And after a very uncomfortable period of time, the door opened and the bailiff came out. And he said, okay, everybody who's here to sue other people, come on here. Come into the courtroom. Beautiful courtroom, nice antique oak paneling, dark wood. Very, very Judge Judy looking here. I was impressed. I like to watch Judge Judy. So I went in and they had these long benches in the back. Everybody sits down on the benches, And we're all kind of sitting there, still looking at our knees. And a door opened in the back, and the bailiff, the judge, and the court reporter came in. And the bailiff said, all rise. And the judge said, sit down. Went back in and kindergarten. So the judge read some, blah-de-blah law that... And then the bailiff came over and said, okay, you, case, who are you? Who are you? Leprechaun, okay. And I didn't hear "oh" anywhere. And the bailiff said, all right, everybody who is going to have their case adjudicated by arbitration, we're going to go into that room over there. You guys are going to come with us. And I looked at the bailiff. He said, Leprechaun, no, your case is being tried right here today, so you can stay. Goody, great. So the bailiff stood up and took everybody else out and left me alone in the room. And I'm sitting there in this big, empty courtroom. It was silent. And I'm like, thought I might take my cell phone out and at least have something to do, but they had a cell phone! Time passed. I was starting to get kind of creeped out. You know how in situations like this you start hearing things like a little creak, like somebody's behind you and stuff? And I kept looking up on the dais at the judge's chair. It's really big, comfy leather chair on a swivel. I think maybe I could. Oh, better not. And the door opened in the back. And a little Mexican man came in with a vacuum cleaner. And I was sitting there watching. And then he went out and left me all alone again. After a while, the door opened again. And in came the judge and the bailiff and the court reporter. And the bailiff said, all rise. So the judge said, all right, step forward. Didn't see anybody else, just me. So he said, step forward. There was a lectern there. They gave me a lectern. Yeah, I know how to use this. So Judge said, he's flipping, he's all bored, and I flip. Okay, tell me about your case. I said, well, this guy, I ordered this thing from him, he did not send it, called me names, and then I didn't get the money, I want my money, and he won't give me the money, I don't want him to give me my money. Okay, great. And the judge is, you can see in his face, like, and the judge flipped through, and he went, oh, Doug O. I said, you know him? And the judge said, he's going flip, flip in the morning, proud. Flip, 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 flip. I said, Mr. Conway, did you come all the way out here from North Carolina for this? I said, yes, Your Honor, I did. And he kind of got a look, and he said, and the defendant didn't even show up. I said, apparently not, Your Honor, I've not seen anybody else. So the judge said, how much did it cost you to get out here? I said, well, Your Honor, since you asked, I happen to have an itemized list of all my travel expenses. So the judge told me he's going, airfare, hotel, car rental. Did you have breakfast this morning? I said, I did, Your Honor. He said, how much did it cost? I said, it was like 12.60, 25. He got it up to like $8,300. And then he said, okay, default judgment. There you go. And I said, incidentally, Your Honor, before I'm dismissed, I do have another bit of information that might be germane to the case. Learned that from Judge Judy, too. If that's for me, I'm not here, okay?
You're supposed to be at work?
No, I told the boss I'm in the men's room. That's how I got time off for cons. Boss, I had Taco Bell. I'll just be okay. He's not going to ask. Well, the judge asked me what piece of information I had. I said, apparently, this is not the first time Mr. Doug O has failed to appear for an ordered court appearance. And the judge got very interested. And he said, do you have any information on that case? I said, actually, Your Honor, I happen to have all the details here. It seems that 2 days before Mr. O asked me to send a check, he failed to appear in court for somebody else who wanted money from him. And the judge looked rather annoyed. So he said, I said, at what point do you think this is becoming a habit? And the judge said, well, we're already there. I thought, okay. So, Your Honor, I don't know if this is irregular or if you're in a position to advise me, but it's 9:30. My plane doesn't leave Salt Lake City until 6. Would you have any advice one way or the other about me driving down to see old Doug O? And the judge paused and looked up at me. He looked over at the bailiff and the bailiff went, the judge asked for a post-it note, and he went scribble, handed the bailiff, said, give that to Mr. Conway. That is the address and phone number of the sheriff's office in that town. Why don't you stop and talk to them? I said, that's very kind of you, Your Honor. Thank you very much. So he gave me the papers. He said, all you have to do is give these to Doug O. I said, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I got into a nice rental car with these nice papers that say, you are a schmuck. You will give Conway his money now. That's pretty much what it says. It's Utah. So, drove down to that little town, drove to the sheriff's office, and first they were a little concerned when I walked in. I could see the lady out there, and I saw her mouth, she mouthed the word, she's behind that little bulletproof thing, she mouthed the word, good, that's kind of what I'm going for. And I came in and I said, I've got a complaint, there's fraudulent, nasty, shady going on in this guy's a schmo, and you want to know about it. So I sat down, and the deputy came in, kind of looking bored like the judge did. Deputy came in, okay, he was a little, all police have that little notebook they have, which always has pages in it. It's like they never run out. He flips, okay, your name, case number, okay. And the name of the gentleman? I said, well, the name of the gentleman is Mr. O. And the deputy said, Doug O? I said, yes, as a matter of fact. I was thinking of going to stop by and see Mr. O and maybe hand these papers to him personally. But I thought, maybe I should come here first and see if anybody wanted to go with me. And the deputy said, I got some time. Well, let's go. So I got in my car, the deputy gets in his cruiser. It's really frickin' annoying because it's 25 miles an hour through town and I got a cop car behind me. Nope, stop sign, full and complete stop.
Should've just wrote shotgun.
Yeah, I could have, that's American. But, no, they wouldn't let me ride in there. I'd have to ride in the back and then I had my car. So I got my car, I got the cruiser. We went to the address that I had on record for Doug O's point of sale company. It was like number 200 Main Street or something like that. We went to Main Street and we walked down the block to number 200, a storefront, and it's all boarded up. I thought, oh boy. And the deputy looked, there was a little note inside the door that said, deliveries for number 200 are in the back. So we said, why don't we go around back? I said, you got time? He said, I got time. I said, let's go. So we walked around the back of the building. There were no numbers on the back of the building. So it was just doors. Okay.
No,
This one's probably 200, so I knocked on the door. A nice lady answered the door. I said, evening, ma'am. I'm wondering, is this number 200? And she said, yes, it is. And I said, oh, I might be wasting your time. You see, I was looking for, and she said, Doug O. I said, as a matter of fact, yes. And she got angry. She said, is he still using this as his business address? He hasn't been here for 2 years. And I looked a little crestfallen. I said, well, you don't happen to know where he's doing business now, do you? And she said, I don't, but I have something that might be useful. And she trotted away. She's like renovating the place. She came out with this old, wrinkled, ripped, old blueprint. And she said, when he moved in here, he remodeled the place, and he left this behind when he left. And she unrolled it. It was a blueprint for the office. But there was the name Doug O. and an address. And the police officer leaned over and said, that's a residential address. Really? I said, the officer, I said, you still got time? He said, I still got time. I said, let's go. So we drove out to this address. And I found out what old Doug O was doing with my money. When we came to the end of this cul-de-sac, I was looking at a house that went from here on. 5 million rooms, 8,000 bathrooms. It was a freaking mansion, terraced lawn, 4-car garage, this gigantic travel trailer that was about as long as this room in the driveway. And the deputy looked at this sourly and he said, it's as bad as a drug dealer. And I said, oh, no, drug dealers work for a living. So we walked up to the house, and I'm getting ready to ring the deputies behind me. I said, you ready? He said, yeah, I'm ready. Knocked on the door, and a young fella, teenage-looking kid answered. He said, yes. I said, oh, hi. I'm looking for Doug O. And the young fella said, well, he's not here right now. I said, oh, gee, when do you expect him back? And he said, I really don't know. May I ask what this is about? I said, oh, absolutely. You must be Doug's. You must be his And the kid said, I'm his son. I said, oh yes, his son. I learned that from the media. You're his son. Well, your dad and I, we had an appointment this morning, and he didn't show up. I was just coming around to make sure everything was cool. So the kid said, well, yeah, he's cool as far as I know. He said, I really don't know when he's coming back. I said, oh, that's a shame. Are you over 18, by the way? He said, yeah. I said, oh, great. Would you be kind enough to give these papers to him when he gets here? And could you actually also kind of sign here that says I gave them to you? Thank you very much. That was a good line. So I went back, and the deputy's looking like this. Oh, it's okay. So he said, do you want to file a fraud complaint? I said, absolutely. Now, I had made a phone call to the city police before and talked to somebody, and I said, I don't know if they made a fraud complaint out of that. He said, do you remember who you talked to? I said, no. Oh, but wait, I have an email. If I can go back to my rental car, I'll get on the cell phone, I can see what the email was, and I'll get his name. So the deputy said, well, okay, you did it. In the meantime, I'm gonna call an officer in from the city, just so we're covered. So I went back to my car. A couple of minutes later, I'm still flipping through trying to get signal in the middle of the Rocky Mountains here. A city police cruiser came up, pulled up behind the deputy's county police cruiser. And I got in my car and I walked up, and both the deputy and I went up, and the police officer rolled the window down. And the deputy said, this is Mr. Conway. He was here to serve some papers on Mr. O. And the policeman said, Doug O? And the deputy said, as a matter of fact, yes. And the policeman looked kind of excited. He showed me something. I don't know if maybe he was supposed to, but you know how they have that little computer in the car so they can play Minesweeper when they're not busy? He had on there, he pulled up Doug O, and there was the address, and there was a note that said, and I quote, it was highlighted, shady business practices. So he said, so you want to make a fraud complaint? I said, absolutely. So he took the information down, and he said, I still need to know who you talked to. I said, well, I'll go back, try one more time. So I went back to the car, and I sat in the car, and I saw the two officers talking. And then, from up the road, appeared a very, very nice, shiny Cadillac Escalade. And it came up and slowed down, and the deputy walked up to the passenger side window, climbed up on it, leaned in, and I saw him talking to somebody inside the tinted windows. And he said, so the deputy stepped down, and the Cadillac quietly, slowly drove into the first bay of the four-car garage, and the doors closed. I jumped out of the car and I said to the deputy, no, I was like, walked up to the end of the driveway, and I stood. Just staring at the house. I was thinking, I got all day. I don't know how much time passed. It might have only been a couple minutes, but the door opened and out came an older gentleman, and he happened to have those papers in his hand. And I saw him, I said, yo, excuse me, you Doug O? See, I figured the heavy Philadelphia accent would help me now. He said, yes. I said, oh yeah, I'm Sam Conway with Antrocon. I was looking forward to seeing you this morning, but we missed each other. I thought maybe we might have a discussion right here. He walked toward me and he slowed down, and over my shoulder he was two police officers like this. And he said, what are these gentlemen doing here? I said, oh, these guys, well, you know, they found out that I'm a stranger in town, and they just didn't want me to get lost. He said they came along to keep it together. That ain't so important right now. Here's what's important. You got some money you owe to me, and I was kind of hoping I could get it. And he glanced over at the police officers. And he said, Well, that won't be a problem. Give me your bank account information, I'll wire it to you.
No.
I said, I don't think so. I don't think so. Listen, let's just make it easy, okay? And he started to say, well, you know, you're the one who was going to refuse delivery. And I said, yeah, Doug, listen. I got doctor in front of my name. Don't fuck with me, okay? Sorry, kid, sorry. But that's what I said. I said, okay, I'm going to make a deal with you. You see, you might notice the judge gave me all the travel expenses. But I got to admit, I'm just loving these beautiful mountains out here and everything. So, here's the deal. You give me back just the money that you owe to my organization. And, you know, I won't hold you to those travel expenses. We'll just go with the principal expenditure, okay? What do you say? He said, that's fair, right? And I said, great, so are you going to give me the money? He said, well, I can't get it right now. I said, yeah, when are you going to get it? He said, I could have it by the 14th. It's the 14th. The 14th of this month. October 14th. All right. So, you do that. You might want to send me a tracking number before you do. And if I don't see it right away, you know, I'm feeling magnanimous. I'll give you till the end of the month. You know, give me some extra time. Get it to me by the end of this month. And all you got to do is give me that original amount, and we're still friends. All right? What do you say? He said, okay. And I said, great. I shook his hand. I turned around. And he went back in the house. And I went up, and the police officer was sitting in the car. And when I went up, he looked up at me mournfully, and he said, I was really hoping he'd take a swing at you. He said, that would have been an easy arrest. I said, yeah, you can't win them all. So we talked for a little bit, and from the corner of my eye, I saw that garage open. And that Cadillac's headlights came on. It started coming down the driveway kind of to where I leaned in the window, it's coming my way. And I didn't look, and I just said to the cop, you suppose that son of a bitch will try to run me down? And the cop said, oh, I hope so. I said, I'm going to take that the right way, all right? Well, the Cadillac kind of went round, and as he went round, well, there wasn't much more for me to do in Utah. Beautiful, beautiful country. So I went back to Salt Lake City, flew back home, and, well, predictably, the end of the month came. I watched my time. End of the month came and went. I tried calling Duggo. Our offices are closed to observe a local holiday. Well, the internet is a strange and frightening place. But to one who knows what he's doing, it has its uses. I was able to do a little bit of sleuthing, and I found out what business Duggo is operating now. And there was a phone number, so I called that phone number. A nice lady answered, and she said, may I help you? I said, yes, I'd like to speak to Duggo. And she said, may I ask who's calling? That's the first good thing. He's there. And I thought, okay, how do I want to play this? Nah, we'll play it straight. I said, yeah, tell him it's Sam Conway with Anthrocon. And make sure you say with Anthrocon. So I got put on hold. And I was on hold for a significant amount of time. And when the hold went off, there was a voicemail saying, hi, this is Doug O. I can't come to the phone right now. Leave a message. So I did. I said, yeah, Doug, it's Sam again. I ain't heard from you. I just wondered if you got my email, okay? Bye. It could not have been 30 seconds later that an enraged email came in from Doug O saying, look, I told you I would get you the money. Don't ever call me again. So I wrote back, but Doug, I really miss our conversations. I even wrote in the Philly accent. I said, I like talking to you so much, but, you know, if that's how you feel, okay. I'll give you my personal guarantee that you're never going to hear from me again once I have the money. And he wrote back a very, very scathing, angry, saying, I'm telling you to desist from calling me. You will get the money when I get it to you. If you keep calling me, you will only delay the process. I have, in the past, likened my unfortunate and shameful temper to a samurai sword that once drawn must taste blood. I felt very thirsty that day. So I called up a lawyer. Thank you. But this is Canada, I can't see you. I called up a lawyer. I said, yo, I need a lawyer. And the lawyer said, that's me. He said, what you need? I said, there's a guy out there, cheated me, I got a default judgment, I asked him for the money, he didn't send me the money, I want you to help me get the money. So the lawyer said, well, that's what we do collections. What town is he in? I said, he's right in your hometown. So the lawyer said, what's his name? I said, is it Mr. O? And the lawyer said, so the lawyer said, okay, well, we need a retainer. You're going to have to send me $1,000. If we don't use it all, we'll send you the rest back. I said, $1,000 I got. Here it is. So I sent him $1,000. So he called up and he said, okay, I am now your lawyer. Here's what, first step, we can put a lien on his house, and then he won't be able to sell it until he satisfies the debt. I said, no. The sword ain't going to like that. Because, you see, that might take 35 years. I don't want to wait for that. So the lawyer said, well, if you don't want to do that, the next thing we could do is we could order him to a supplemental hearing where then he will have to explain to the judge why he hasn't paid you. I said, he didn't show up to the first hearing. What makes me think he'll show up to this one? So the lawyer said, okay. Well, the next thing we could do is we could seek a writ that would allow us to start seizing his personal property and sell it at sheriff's sale. I said, that's the one. I said, let's do it. He said, well, we can't just jump into it. We need to know what his personal property is. I said, there's a real big travel trailer in that driveway. But the lawyer said, do you know he owns it? Is it in his name? I said, well, no, I don't know, actually. So, the lawyer said, okay, I will do some investigating with the Department of Motor Vehicles, and we will discover whether he owns it or not. Maybe a week went by, and I got a phone call from the lawyer saying, okay, according to the DMV, he does not own that travel trailer. We can't seize it. I said, oh. But the lawyer said, but we do know what he does own. I said, tell me. So the lawyer said, okay, you order a Ford Explorer, a Kawasaki motorcycle, a Cadillac Escalade, a Porsche 911, and a Lamborghini. I said, do I get to pick which one we go after? And the lawyer said, no. I said, oh, the lawyer said, we're going after all of them. I said, I like you. I'm liking you a lot. So I waited, and they had to arrange with a constable who is basically a tough guy that shows up with all the papers that says we are taking your stuff. And we're going to sell it, and the money we make, we're going to give to this guy, Conway. That's me, by the way. In case you didn't know that part. So lawyer called me up with a story. And the lawyer called up and said, let me tell you a story. I said, that's my line. And he said, okay. The constable went to Duggo's house. And Duggo's wife answered the door. The constable said, handed her the papers and said, where's the Lamborghini? She said, we sold it. So the constable said, okay, where's the Porsche? She said, we sold that too. So the constable said, well, how about the Cadillac, which I saw you driving in yesterday? Are you going to tell me you sold that too? She said, no, that's in the repair shop. He said, okay, great. Give me an address to the repair shop. So she gave him an address. And halfway to the repair shop, the constable's cell phone rang, and it was my buddy Doug. And, well, apparently, according to Doug, his wife had misspoke. When she said they'd sold the Lamborghini, what she actually meant was that they didn't sell the Lamborghini, and it was still there in the garage. Now, I can only imagine that she sent the constable off and then called Doug and said, I just lied to a state official, is that bad? So, deputy turned around and went there, and Duggo was waiting with $1,000 in cash. He handed it to the constable and said, give this to Conway, I'll have the rest on Friday. And, well, unfortunately, he has now made an effort to pay. So we couldn't proceed. So I got a little annoyed. I sent an email to Doug saying, okay, now look. Yeah, I would rather keep this friendly, okay? I got an idea. I'm gonna be out in Utah again in 3 weeks visiting some friends of mine. Why don't I come over with my friends? You know, we'll visit with you, knock back a few beers. Maybe invite that son of yours. Looks like a fine young man. He didn't answer that email for some reason. The constable went back on Friday, and I was told Duggo could only get another $4,000. So now we got 5. Actually, something like that. And the lawyer said he wants until next Thursday to get the rest of it. Is that okay with you? And I said, no. No! Absolutely not! No, this guy has had more chances than I care to give him. I want those cars towed now. I gave him 2 minutes. And the lawyer said, well, you know, it's going to cost an awful lot of money. We have to pay the constable for each vehicle $500. Then there's the towing fee. Then there's storage. Then there's the auction fee. I said, I don't care. I don't care. Go grab him. And the following Monday, the lawyer called me and he said, I gave Mr. O until Thursday, because it is my responsibility to look after your best interests, and that was going to cost a lot of money. And I said, you told you what you The lawyer shut me down, simply by saying, Mr. Conway, am I representing Anthrocon or am I representing you? I was like, well played. Well, Mr. O did give us the rest of the money. And, well, that might be the end of the story. But you know what? It still cost me $1,000 for that lawyer to get that money collected. I'm not necessarily finished with this story yet, which is why I would appreciate not making this public on YouTube or anything. Keep it to yourselves for now.
Because you put on your wine stream.
Oh, I will let the wine stream know as soon as the story is done, but I don't know. Just go watch my YouTube channel. He's got half an ounce of brain, he does. But what I'm thinking of doing is maybe sending him another little email that says, "Dear Doug, you still owe me $1,000. What say we do this the easy way this time?" But, I don't know. If Furnal Equinox invites me back next year, maybe I'll tell you the end of the story. I can take the accent off now. I realize that story took an entire hour. And it is now just about 8 o'clock. At which point, the story hour is supposed to finish and the charity show is supposed to begin. Now, I'm 50% of the charity show, so I don't have to go anywhere. But the other 50%, I happen to notice, is lurking in the audience. Why don't I invite him up here? He's lurking like he's going to pounce, but I often have shared the microphone and the stage with the sky god Tian Mong, and I would like to invite him to come up here and share the stage again. Please, the crowd.
Oh, my back. This will help you. Stairs. There's stairs.
There are stairs.
I knew that. I was just testing.
Kage. It's for the dogs.
Oh, keep this. We've already got a donation for the doggies. Oh, goes in here.